What's up, guys? So on Wednesday, this call is actually streamed on YouTube, and the Wednesday topic is talking about process improvements. So I am going to, for myself personally, my process improvement is I'm going to be switching to listing 100 items a week myself. And ideally, the items are going to be over $100, but I don't know if I can find 100 $100 items per week. So but the rest of the time, I'm going to work on replenishables, relationships, suppliers. Ideally, stuff that's under $100, I can get somebody else to list for me. And that's my process improvement. So I like the idea of a daily 15. If you can wake up and list 15 items, then you can crush it. So I just signed up with a gentleman that has everything, but he just needs to develop a habit. So essentially, he's just texting me in the morning after he finishes 15 before his day job. That's it. So he doesn't really need help from me. He already knows how to resell, but we need to grease this habit of listing every day, because if he does 15 a day before work, then he can essentially, I would say in 5 months, not have to work his day job. His store will be big enough. I think you need a $2,000. I'm sorry, 2,000 item store with 2,000 item store with great sell through rate, like let's say 20% sell through rate. So that's 400 items selling for $10 profit after everything. That's 4 grand. Then you have the option of replacing your income. But so that's the plan for him, 15 a day for 5 months. So if you have a 1 year sell through, let's just say that your inventory turns once a year, then you need to do that for a year. If you wake up and you list $1,000, I'm sorry, 15 items, that's $1,000 a week. You do that for a whole year. If your stuff takes 1 year to sell through, you'll be at that rate where your inventory will create that income for you. So that habit of 15 a day. So let's start with Jared. Jared, good morning. What can you do to improve your store?
Morning, everybody. I need to, my process definitely needs to improve. My listing habit, getting to at least 15 a day, like you're saying. I did good yesterday with it, but consistency is key. Just like you always tell us,
When are you going to do it?
get to the consistency.
No, when, what part of the day are you going to list?
I'm trying to get my drafts done in the morning. I'm trying to get photographs and drafts done in the morning. The drafts are a little easier for me to work on even the days I go to work, because I can kind of do it on my phone at lunchtime or so forth. So I'm trying to build that momentum, and then as soon as I get off work, I'm trying to jump right in and get onto it.
Are you productive after work?
Uh, yes, but not near as productive as I am before.
Yeah, I'm not productive at all after work. That's why I'm
Yeah,
trying to convince people to do it before they go to work, because you're burnt.
yeah. My job's labor intensive, so it wears you down.
Do you work 5 days a week?
Yeah, but I have spurts where I'm not working, because a lot of times I'll do 2.5, 3 weeks straight, and then sometimes it'll be 2 weeks off. And honestly, it takes me a minute to get back into it. Um,
That
being
makes
the
sense.
Yeah, being the it's not hard labor, but it's a lot of labor is what I do. It seems like I recover, and I'm taking way too much time to mentally recover too, for
I
sure.
wonder how people recover from that. Like, there's a lot of nurses that resell. There's a lot of firefighters that resell. If like imagine working one 48-hour shift and then 5 days off as a firefighter or a nurse, sometimes 4 10s or 3 10s like Nico. Or maybe we can ask Nico, how do you readjust with your schedule being I mean, you used to be a nurse.
Yeah, well, up until last week. So yeah, no, it was just really tough because you'd be really tired on your first day off. You still could get your 15 listings done. I think it depends on what job you have. 12-hour shifts, everybody's awake for 12 hours during the day. So if it wasn't a super stressful shift, if you didn't have, things emotionally you had to deal with, patients who were going through a lot or something, then I really wasn't that tired for the week. I would pretty much hit the ground running on my first day off and have 4 days off. But then there were those weeks where I was working the night shift or my relief didn't come in and I ended up working 16 hours, which legally as a nurse, you can't leave. Once you're there, you are clocked in, and legally you have to know that legally you can work 24 hours. That is the commitment that you make. I've never had to do 24, but I have done like 18 before. And so mentally you're kind of like, am I even going to get off, at 6 a.m? And so, it takes a while, and the labor intensive would be even worse. I ran all day, but it wasn't near what Jared probably is doing.
Gotcha. Nico, what can you do to improve your online store?
Let's see. I have about 1,500 listings and then duplicates of some of those listings. So I'm not to 2,000 yet. And that is my goal also. I don't have any problems with listing habits because I'm full-time. So you don't have a choice. If you're going to make anything, you have to do your listing. So that isn't really, my problem. I just need to continue to replace the really low end items that I still have with the better, so that my listing pays off. When I'm listing, I don't list $10 items anymore, but I'm editing them and then I'm cross posting them, and that's giving me a lot of cash flow to go get the better things. Or I shouldn't even say that it's the $10 price point that bothers me. It's that I had a lot of slow sellers, and I should clarify that. I would live all day long on $10 sales if it's really flipping, within a year is too long for me on a $10 item. But if it's flipping within a month, I don't really have a problem with things that are a little bit lower end.
Yeah, you can build a huge business on $9.99.
Yeah.
As long as it's like similar stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I have a whole store full of slow moving brands. They're brands I did research at the time, but I think I just priced them a little bit too high. And then I was working so much, so I didn't get in and edit them like I should. So then, it's 6 months later and I still have this, $15 shirt that is clogging up my inventory. And it's surprising how just getting them back up in the search and then cross posting them is, I'm selling, 5 or 10 of those items a day that I've had for 6 months just by figuring out why I still have it. So it's going well. It's going really well.
All right. Mimi, welcome to the call. Why don't you tell us, where do you live and where are you in your reseller process?
Thank you. Today's my first day. I just started reselling. I'm very, very new, about 7 months. And so far I'm doing good. And I'm very excited to find you guys.
Awesome. What's one thing that you can do to improve your store?
Listing 10 items a day.
10 items a day?
That is my challenge because English is my second language and it's a big challenge. So,
this is interesting. Welcome to the call, and I want everyone in the chat to put how many items would be ideal for you listing per day. 10 a day is a great goal. There is a lady that is in the group that doesn't speak any English, and she has like 4,000 or 5,000 items in her store, and she only does the photography part, and that's it. So you can either hire your own VA or you can use a service like Sellhound or Hammock to help you list items. You technically don't need to talk. And I feel like if I didn't talk at all, my store would be huge. So just that, it's not required. You don't have to speak the language because if you can get the item number and the UPC, you can do the research on eBay with just the product.
Yeah, I took your advice and I'm working with Hammock.
Yeah.
I started last week.
Yep.
But on top of that, I want to list 10 more items myself.
Cool. And your English is great, as people in the chat are saying. So awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Let's go with Sean. Sean, good morning. What can you do to improve your store?
Just from the call last night, think a lot of it is breaking up. Well, it's mostly for my wife, but I want to do it too, because she does most of our listing. But break it so that we do the photography in one round and then finalize the listings later. I think that could be huge for us, you know. And also, well, the way it was explained, to not edit photos, like just get them to the point where they're just good enough in camera that we don't have to edit them. So those speed improvements,
That's a
could be
great
huge.
improvement. Great improvement.
So
No photo editing.
For us, I don't even know. It might be for me at some point, once I get some other things done and can really prioritize listing again. But for my wife, she's having so many health issues that I don't know that she'll get more done. But the idea that she could get it done faster and this just be a part-time job for her, like she's done in 4 hours or 5 hours rather than it taking her 8 hours. And she's only doing like 15 listings when she's doing it, and it's taking her like 8 hours just because she's having to research every item. And the process that we have, it's very clunky to be in eBay while you're taking the photos and trying to do half the listing, and then she's still having to finalize it when she gets to the computer anyway. So, and edit photos. So, and we might be overdoing it with some of the details that we're putting in there. I know eBay wants all these item specifics, but I think we should just look at each type of item that we sell. We got to like either sell similar off of our own, or even better would probably be listing templates based on, you know, for dresses, for tops, for each item type that we sell on a regular basis. And then the long-term thing will be like trying to dictate more of the supply that we're getting. You know, half of our inventory we're going to local thrift stores and buying, so that we control. But what we order, it's like a mix of new and used clothing, and it's good. It's stuff that sells okay, and the profit margins are all right. But still, it's random. Like we'll see, some of it'll be stuff we've seen over and over again, like Talbots and things like that. But then there'll be brands that we've never heard of. So that's where my wife, I think, is getting caught, like bogged down, is she's never come across this brand. She has to research it. So even the things that, like Tech was saying, like maybe take the things you're unsure about and put those in a pile, and like just deal with those in the evening, like just to research them, and don't even consider that the main part of your day. You know, like get the stuff that you can just run through, organize that for listing the next day, and then just, you know, consider the rest of the time like learning what these new brands are, if they're even worth listing is another thing to consider, which we never have when we're buying in bulk. We just list it all, which may be a waste of time because we're in the same boat as another person was just mentioning, where we're not at that 20% sell-through rate. We're at 10. We were even lower last month for some random reason, but we were higher the month before that. So it's around 10% average. So if we improve what we're listing, that average should go up over time. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We do have the space to get that much inventory, but we don't want to be listing stuff that's probably never going to sell. And then the other thing is we got to look at our price points. The other suggestion we got yesterday was seeing how he has it set up that he has very set price points for everything, and then he just throws it in that bucket. And okay, you might lose a couple of bucks, but the efficiency that you gain and the volume that you can move goes up dramatically if you've got like your 18.95 or your 22, your 28, whatever price points you pick, you just kind of put everything into that. And he said occasionally you might have messed up and like that was worth 60 and you sold it for 28. But so what if you're moving volume? Like it doesn't matter to lose a little bit here and there. And that's how you learn. Like if that thing sold instantly, then you know you probably underpriced it, and go ahead and go research it for next time. But other than that, a lot of the stuff you get is not precious. It's just common items. You know, we're selling stuff like $20 to $30. So, you know, occasionally it's worth a little more, but even then, you know, I mean, just because it's got a new tags and it says it's $80, I mean, we're not even always going to get half of that, you know? And then, so those are the main things. But then the other thing I got to look at is how do we going to run our sales? So we don't really have a set strategy. I more or less just experimented that I know how to run a sale and done it a few times here and there. But we've never really gone above 20%, which he has set as like his minimum. Like after 45 days, he just goes in there and puts everything at 20% off. And then once it gets to a certain point, like around the summer, he just tries to move everything. So he combats the summer slowdown that way by putting everything at 50% off. whether or not we do exactly that strategy, like that's a good basis to think about from, if we should do it exactly like that at first or adjust. But we really need to just get a set strategy. And then if we have other ideas that come up along the way, we could always experiment, but at least have a way of moving the inventory. So stuff doesn't end up sitting there for more than 1 year, at the most, ideally. So we get at least 90% of it sold. Whereas right now, I've just started tracking the last few weeks, so I really don't know. I think probably there's more like 30% that's sitting around for us. It's over a year old, so just being able to just push that price down until we get rid of it. Unless it's a special item, then I guess we could hold it. If it's vintage and it's cool, we could hold on to it a little longer, but otherwise just try to move everything.
You got some great insights there of this being one of the only jobs you can do whenever. There's a lot of people with health issues or can't work a job for some reason, or let's say you're looking for a secondary income, or like there's so many reasons that people could not like go into an office. So this job you can do, it's just about creating your own schedule. Plus people like, I think one of the coolest things in the world is having an online store. So you'll see people who have like huge primary incomes and they still have an online store for fun, because it's like something beyond just like making extra money if you get into it and build it up. You also mentioned saving time with price buckets. That's huge, right? Because if you have a discounting system, then it all gets discounted to the right price anyway. There's people who do $1 less on all their items every week, right? And even when it gets to the point where it's like $2 plus shipping, they may have lost money on that item, but in the grand picture, because they just have one pricing system, everything will eventually sell if you do that system. So once in a while, people get a great deal in your store and they just follow you, but you're not thinking about, 10%, 20%, whatever. Stores that have like one system grow really fast because they spend their time listing. Like eBay, if they made it simple, people would spend all their time listing, but they don't. So people spend half the day thinking about how to do eBay because it's so complicated.
So and the more types of items you sell, the more you can get bogged down like that, where you're spending more time researching than you are listing. That's not good. eBay's like if you want to make money, you got to be awesome at getting really expensive stuff, or you kind of have to get a machine in place,
Yep. Great insights. Let's go with Brian. Brian, good morning. What can you do to improve your store?
Good morning. I think like the key for me is to get to that steady 15 listings per day. Like each week, the total number goes. And like we talked about the marathon sourcing, I counted, I sourced 91 pair of shoes yesterday. So that, if I do 15 a day, that should take care of me for the rest of the week. And then once I run out, just go source again. So really developing that habit of 15 a day, not 8 a day, not 10 a day, but to get to the 15 a day, I think will get me where I need to be. And talking about the sell price, like that's something that I've been working with, and I do the tiered sales, but I think also like I finish my tiered sale at the end of the month with a 50% off sell, and I price my items accordingly to be able to make money on that. But I think I need to add a day. Maybe it's the first day of the month. I don't do any sales, but I just go through all my inventory, or at least my older inventory, and drop everything 5%. Is there a way to bulk price drop? That's something you have to go in manually.
You can bulk price drop. You can bulk price drop by percentage and by dollar amount.
Ooh, okay.
So if you go to active, you can select a certain amount. Also, like all these item specific issues, what you could do, since these effects won't become permanent until February, you could just like cheap sell all these items instead of changing the item specifics if you wanted to, and just get rid of all of them before next year and sell similar. Somebody asked if that really saves time. It saves thousands of hours of time, especially with now all these item specifics. So if you get a listing that's perfect, sell similar off your own one. It already has all the item specific, like all these new ones that they're adding, and they're always going to add new ones. eBay is behind the 8 ball when it comes to search. And if you've ever shopped on eBay, it's not like super easy to find what you're looking for. So they need to fix that. That's why they're moving to item specifics and caring less about the description, because you can write banana cream pie is my favorite food in the description. It has nothing to do with, but if you have to do a drop down menu and it forces you to pick features, color, then it's a better experience for the buyer. But it's super annoying with the like it'll say Levi's men's jeans in my title, and then it'll say what department is it in. It should pull that it's men's if it's in the title, but it's crazy how much work this item specific thing is. Let's see. Let's go with Colby. Colby, good morning. What are you doing to improve your store?
Hey, Chris. I've kind of tried to break up my morning a little different because I have to be at work, kind of early. So I'm trying to do 25 listings before work. And I'm probably going to drop that down to just images, and then do 25 after, and then try to complete everything, probably even later in the night. Because I can sit around on the couch with a laptop and finalize drafts, and it doesn't take me long to finalize 50 drafts. So I think that's kind of moving forward what I'm going to do. I'm trying to get everything done in the morning, and it's just I'm not able to do it. I try to work during this call as well, but if I could knock out 25, especially with kind of changing my pattern of how to do it. So mainly doing photos, which I've never done before. I usually go from start to finish and then put inventory away and then start again and go start to finish. And it's a complete waste of time for the most part. So I'm going to start changing that up this week. And, I'm still haven't given up on my camera, but I think I'm going to be forced to lose the mobile and go to the camera mode for speed as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to mess with this week. A little reluctant with the camera thing, but it completely makes sense, to not do it on mobile.
I'm going to ask Tech and Sports right now, because his camera is like $80. Let's see.
Yeah, but, it's like a Power Shot cheapy. I think that's what he said. Didn't he say that, Sean? Like a Power Shot something?
Yeah, I started looking on eBay to buy it, but it'd be cool just to know his model. I'd rather just start with what he's using. So if you could get the model, Chris, that'd be also what size memory card he uses. So I just literally just copy his setup to get going.
That's such a great idea. And this is the thing, I bet, because I'm going to compare it. I have every eBay toy. So maybe I will compare like $80 setup versus $5,000 setup. I bet the sales are the same. There's like no reason to do that.
I totally agree. Like I've got a nice Canon that my wife uses for her store, and it's super expensive, and DSL, it's like there's no way. And if you look at other people's photos, my camera definitely takes better photos probably than that Power Shot, but it's the speed when it comes down to it. And I don't think, right to your point, I don't think the quality is a buying factor. You have to have photos, you have to have good photos, but is it really going to make that much of a difference if you're a little sharper, on a phone, a nice iPhone versus a cheapy Power Shot. So, but yeah, that's kind of my improvements. Like I said, if I can still knock out 50, but bulk it up differently, I might be able to get higher than that a day, which is, really what I want to get to.
Yeah, I think that there's time savings of being able to either the memory card transfer is huge.
That's the biggest. Yeah. And even the camera thing that you showed, oh my gosh, that's the dumbest thing in the world last night. I was like, Chris is like, yeah, just tilt your camera and take pictures a different way. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I had no clue that was even a thing. Like, because you're so used to taking photos with one hand, not up and down, but horizontal, and I did that. I was doing this morning. I'm like, this is ridiculous. This probably saved me an hour a week, just tilting your camera a different way to take a picture. So little things like that. It's for me, like I said, because I have limited hours, to do it per day. Little things like this I'm not joking, probably double what I'm currently doing. I bet, once I get the system down.
Yeah. I found the camera. Let me get it. It's on Amazon. It's $130. You can get it for cheaper, way cheaper. I've seen it for half as much on eBay. You could probably get it for $70. But if you, I'm gonna test this week and see what the difference is. But the memory card transfer versus messing with Dropbox or Google Drive, and also the just like the hard stop of mentally being like, okay, done, plug it in. I think you get that feeling of completion, and it probably gets you motivated to do it again. Cool. Let's go with.
What would you recommend with a
go ahead.
memory card, Chris?
Memory cards are pretty cheap. I remember when I paid $100 for 1 gig. Now it's like, I just bought one. It was like, let me see what a good memory is.
Hey, Sean, you probably wouldn't need that big of one, only because, I mean, if you think of the number of pictures you're going to be taking, even if you took 50 at a time times, 9 pictures,
Yep.
And you're going to transfer all those and do them. So, I bet it's whatever it probably came with is probably sufficient.
Holy crap. There's like,
okay, 30, so just that makes sense. Just start with
there's
that.
Like 32 gig drives, which is a lot for like $10. So
yeah, they're free.
Yeah, don't spend more than $10. Try to spend under $10 for your memory card. And it might come with one that's like a couple of gigs, which is kind of good, because I feel like don't get super behind on so many photos that because a backlog can hurt you mentally. So it might be better to have a smaller memory card to force you to list that stuff before you keep taking more and more and more photos. So I'd recommend 32 gigs or less on. And someone in the chat's asking about which camera. It's the Canon ELPH PowerShot, but it doesn't matter. Any camera that is going to take photos with a memory card that you can just plug into your computer, it's going to save you a lot of time versus having to worry about the internet transfer with your phone. Also, you can list about twice as fast on a computer versus your phone. So that transition is painful if everyone is used. I listed the first 2,000 items on my phone when I started, but it's slower in the computer. Let's go with Scott. Scott, what can you do to improve your store? Hopefully he can chat. We'll come back to Scott. Let's go to Ed. Ed, good morning. Can you chat?
Morning.
What can you do to improve your store?
Following some early advice I got from you yesterday, I started taking my main store and doing a fake sale. And it's a little tedious, but it's worth it. And I think it's helped a little bit already.
Awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that gives you a bump in rank.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit fake, but you stop and think about it. I mean, how many times in your life you walked in a store and they're having a 30% off sale, and you know good and well that that's not the correct price, right? So
that's right.
So
are you going to just artificially mark all new items in your store up, and then it'll go into the sale? Ed, or I don't know if you we'll come back. Jeannie, can you chat?
Yep, I'm just listing.
Morning. What can you do to improve your store or your listing?
The store, I need to list more. So I think I'm gonna try to shoot for like 20 a day. I've been doing 10 to 15 pretty consistently, by myself, not with the VA. So I think I want to try to do 20, because if I don't, the pallets for my goal for October to have the those 2 pallets listed is not going to happen.
How much is left?
About half, but I'm doing half on Marketplace and half on eBay.
Okay.
because some of the stuff was kind of big items. But yeah, I've got about half left. I think when I counted everything, I think there was over 320 in one, and I think 2 something in the other. So that's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I need to up to 20 myself and then get more to the VA.
Okay.
And that's about it, I think.
Sounds good. Let's go with Matt. Matt, good morning. What are you working on to improve your wholesale potentially, or your regular?
Right now I'm just working on dotting the I's and crossing the T's, getting everything buttoned up so that I can continue moving forward with wholesale only. That's what I'm doing right now. What can I do to improve wholesale, though? I could get better supply, cheaper supply, better quality supply, more supply. Right now, I only have about 15 to 20 hours of work for my one employee per week. And he's cool with that, but he could use more work as well. So, I could just get more stuff in, sell more stuff, make even more money.
Yeah, that's a thing for longevity. If they can make a full-time income, they'll definitely hang out longer. So
yeah,
especially consistency. And then everyone in the group or online, if you guys have wholesale opportunities, I'm happy to share the group with you. You can sell within the group. That makes me happy. So that's a good thing. And I think Matt should have a small, cute little store of things you think are cool, maybe for fun. But I think that's everyone, most of the wholesalers I know do have a small store.
See, that's the thing. In order to have a store, you got to be near the store.
That's true. That's true.
I would be tied down to a physical location somewhere.
Yep.
And I'd have to have internet connection. I'd have to have storage system. Yep. I'd have more responsibility. And if I had that responsibility, I would want it to pay off a lot better than, just a couple sales a day.
Mm.
That's why I've decided to have no eBay store at all, because it's a big responsibility. You got to be there every day. Somebody has to do the shipping, and that has to monetarily benefit me a lot to compensate for me having to be somewhere,
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the true laptop independent of location is drop shipping, or because wholesale still requires some kind of spot to do it too. But there's people who drop ship, and those people they could actually be in a beach in Thailand. If that's your goal, then you could do that. But most of those people end up coming back and settling somewhere eventually. Yeah,
and
I got you.
I'm really fortunate to have an awesome employee. I pay him really well. So, but he's definitely worth it. He can do almost as much as me. So I can't complain at all about it. Just keep him on board and happy, things will keep rolling very smoothly.
So Elias is asking, how do people source from China and sell so cheap? USA sellers, not Chinese people. Well, all races of people do it the same way. They just email and call people who run these factories in China, and like it's the same. You start with 1,000 people who sell it. 950 of those people are middlemen and don't actually make the product. So you have to figure out who actually makes it, buy directly from them, test small samples, keep going. And once you start making larger orders, there's more to it. Like you need to maybe potentially do a sample check, hire someone out there to go look. It just takes time to build replenishables from China. And there's also new opportunities of making your stuff in the US or South America. There's so many new things to do. April, can you chat?
Good morning.
What's up, April?
Oh, my everything. I'm like absolutely freaking out, but I've got a lot done, so I'm very excited. I don't know, like I don't have an approved process today. It's just, to me, it's just about getting stuff lit. Oh, I'm just annoyed that I didn't move my office up. I'm having picture like, it's not my camera, it's just my lighting. I really have to move my setup upstairs. If, it's darker now, it's cloudy, I'm in the basement. Some of my pictures are just turning out gray, and I don't have I am just doing it on my my Droid, so maybe I don't know my settings very well to how to brighten that up, because that white background thing on eBay is awful. That thing's awful.
Yeah, I don't use that.
So I need something to like brighten them up without changing, the color or making it look like a different picture. I'm tired of, so that's it. And then, it's just listing. I've gotten a lot of lots up. I learned that everyone is into Wicca and tarot cards. Mm-hmm. I had 41 people in 12 hours contact me about a little 12-book lot. It was hilarious. So who was the gentleman that was speaking earlier? Was it Sean? Just like, or even Brian said, you just learn, what's popular, what's not. So no, it's a good week. I've got my book lots up. I got my Amazon stuff done. I put stuff up on the local marketplaces, learning how to navigate those a little bit better. And then getting ready for next week. Like I said, I'm leaving. So
imagine if you were the queen of Wicca or witchcraft supplies on eBay. That would be
I'm
awesome.
going to figure it out. Let me tell you.
There's probably there's a market for that probably.
There is. And that's what I have a little a side list actually, with like when something sells instantly, I kind of note that. And then I'm supposed to be researching it. I haven't. But there was certain like a diet tea that did that I had a small thing of. Those went on like fire. Certain candles I get. I don't like candles, but just stuff like that. I like finding little fun things. So that's all. It's normal. It's a normal spazzy week for me.
Okay. Let's go with Clay. Clay, good morning. What are you working on to improve your store?
Hey, howdy, sir. Well, kind of like I've said before, ideally getting, excuse me, to 15 listings a day. So far this week, I've done, what's today, Wednesday? So I did 10 each of the last 2 days. I have a ton of drafts and pictures. Like I just went to bed about 4 hours ago. Mm-hmm. I basically, all the stuff that I had and the stuff so far, I told you that my mom bought at this online auction. Once I go, I just will go. Like this is what I did last spring when I was teaching. I'd come home from work, and I actually can work after work when I had like a full-time job. Like I run after school. Like it's, not always maybe the best, but for me, I can. So another good thing will be to also keep doing drafts. For me mentally, it's helping me right now, knowing that if I have them in the can ready to go, like boom, they're just there. Like Brian and I text, when I texted him, I was like, oh, I just was going to bed when he got up today. He's like, you gonna sleep? And I'm like, well, I'm sure I'll fall asleep at some point, but I need to work, But some of this also, as when I sent you that message, and Brian and I've talked, I'm going to start doing Uber again, just because I got to be able to pay the bills, So I'm going to source, but I got to figure out on the cheap. So probably it'll be just like the Goodwill bins for shoes instead of just Goodwills like Brian suggested. Mm-hmm. Because like I could hit that if I wanted to, like every morning, like, and so I'll probably do that instead of the call some days and just stay there a few hours so that I get lower cost of goods, because it's that whole deal. I don't want my emergency money to run out and my stress level to go up, because like, I don't mind going back to Uber now if it's cooling down and I feel safe enough, roll the windows down, blah, blah, but I gotta be able to pay my bills, because the other night I laid in bed and I'm like going, if I'm sourcing X number of shoes like Brian per week at, let's say $7 a pair, that's like $3,000 a month. And that kept me awake for a while, because I'm like, holy S, like I need that just to pay my bills right now, So, hit the garage sales, hit the bins, see if, I can make connections to source cheaper, and so
I'm trying to think here what it would cost to, I think it would, let's just say it's $300. a week? I mean, how much is a pair of shoes at the bins?
What, $1.50, Brian? Would you say two or something? You know, just depend. I mean,
$2.
yeah, pretty cheap.
Okay.
Unless they're heavy boots, you know.
Let's say $3. So it's because it's not over three. So
Yeah.
let's assume you were to plug in 100 shoes a week. So you busted your ass. You drove Uber and you made an extra $300 a week that you could go to Goodwill. If you did that, I mean, this is hardcore, but for a year, Uber paid the bills and $300 went into your eBay store and you didn't take any money out. At the end of the year, your PayPal or your account would probably have like 10 to 30 grand in it.
Yeah.
And your store would make $1,000 a week profit, but you would have to do that for a whole year.
Yeah.
And your store would be like 3,000 or 4,000 items by then. But that's not impossible. Anyone could do that, but it's kind of like it's a lot.
Yeah, but that's might be, you know, because like right now, my stress level compared to if I was teaching today is so much less that, you know, that's maybe what I'll do. Also, I told Brian, maybe something pops up. Maybe reselling isn't my thing, you know, my next thing after teaching now. Maybe it's just I'll keep growing it, but it's, you know, it's half of what I end up doing, or a third, you know, Uber and resell and something else, you know. I know if I just trust the process, do this, get back, drive Uber, and for me, stay positive, you know, it'll work out. You know, a lot of it for me, like I said, if it just, you know, I just need to stay calm and trust the process and make the money, pay the bills, I'll be good.
Yeah,
I don't have to get rich right now. You know, that's not, you know,
and you can't.
Yeah, I can't. But I mean, like, I don't need to move out of my little place. I don't have to take any trips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm okay. Like,
but
you know,
but one more thing, Clay, I think, right, because I think that you shared with the group earlier in the week that sometimes you beat yourself up, and I think that you still do. So instead of thinking like I don't need much, that's a scarcity mindset. I want you to think of like to making way more than you need. I know it's a different shift.
Yeah.
But like all of us don't need that much, but you have to like think more. Like I'm trying to think of what is a slight mind shift change you can make to start thinking positively.
Well, it's kind of like, sorry to interrupt. That's bad habit. When I drive Uber, I usually set a goal, like dollar wise, you know, and then once I get close to it or over, then I'm usually like, most of the time it used to be on weekends, and I'd be like, well, what else am I doing today? So I might as well just keep going, you know, so that I have more to pay down debt or / less stress. I don't know if that's kind of where you're going with
less
that.
Stress,
you know?
Is good. Yeah.
But, and I also do have one opportunity. Brian's going to do it. We have a friend we made through YouTube who lives in Denver, where they have like basically 4 Goodwill outlets. And our friend Val said she'd donate her time on a weekend to help us source, you know? So I might go up there. It might sound silly, but I got a 17-year-old cat who's been ill, and I worry about the stress of me being gone, you know, taking a toll. But I might drive up there because I could drive up in a day, source for 2 days, and come back and literally have my car full for as cheap as I could, you know, by going to 4 Goodwill outlets. And she's good at it, you know, like she sells on Posh and does well. So oh, Nico's there. Oh, thanks for that.
Yeah, if you can eventually you can get someone to help and your whole business will change.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I don't necessarily think you need to do it all by yourself, but I think you have a superpower, Clay, because you've got a reseller friend in Brian, and I cannot tell you how powerful. Like if you could somehow buy Brian lunch every week, and that's like, I wish I had an Amazon friend here. I have tons of eBay friends, but like when I first started, I met all the resellers I could. And it just, each time you hang out with one, you learn so much stuff. That's why I wish we weren't in this situation right now, because we could just do more meetups and talk to people who do it.
Yeah.
Chris, just to jump in, like what you're talking about, the in-person is great. and we have a Facebook group, and there's, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 resellers, and we're always chatting in the messenger. So it's kind of like a little mini reseller group. And I was telling them yesterday about, and this is something I'll never understand. Like right now, there are 17 people on this call, and the amount of information that I learn, plus the motivation I get from this group, it's worth way more than the 129 or whatever I paid. And that's what I was talking to the group. I'm like, why are there not more people? Yeah, you got to pay a little bit, but like I remember the very first day I joined the group, I got a bolo that first day that more than paid for my whole year's membership to this group. So I think, I don't know, maybe this is just a little soapbox in my little rant, but like I think people want to be entertained on YouTube, but like you need to get in the groups and surround yourself with people that are going to lift you and that are going to help you get where you want to be. And to me, it's like a no-brainer. And I'll never understand why there's not 100, 1,000 people in this group.
Well, it makes, I was thinking about that. Like there's that saying, if you split the money evenly amongst everyone on earth, in a few years, it would all go back into the same hands. It's because if, let's say the internet went away and there was no more internet, then we would just all meet by the river and figure out how to do something. And then it would turn into a city again after 10 years. If you don't get around people, it's so like, this is so hard. Trying to do it by yourself is insane. There's so many different things you have to do. It's hard to stay on track.
That's why he and I text most of the day, like all day. Like yesterday we didn't much, but it is nice because and I wouldn't be doing this without Brian. I would never have thought to resell at all. So I've told him I'm grateful because I'd probably be at work right now and miserable because I love the kid part and I love some of my coworkers, but I was just so over it, or maybe I would have quit and just be driving Uber, but I haven't done that because Corona didn't feel safe. But now I'm like, so yeah, I know I'm lucky that even though I haven't seen Brian in 5-6 weeks, like I told you, I feel like I see him all the time.
Yep.
Because we're in contact. And I guess it helps now that I see him here and we do a little Friday thing with our friends on YouTube, so it's big to be able to text each other, or whatever. Even if we annoy each other, because he's like my brother now, he's one of my best friends, so yeah, it's been huge.
This online thing is new too. Like you couldn't talk to 17 people at the same time, 20 years ago. Every day. Yeah. That's impossible.
Even a few.
So yeah, it's pretty. And I joined this really expensive group one time, and this guy said that he wanted 10% of every deal that happened in the group. I'm like, how are you talking? How would you even enforce that? But I don't think that's
everyone's
how it works.
Private messaging.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just let people, that's what community is. This is, my brother works at a fancy golf course. He used to work at, and Michael Jordan is a member. And Michael Jordan is there 2 weeks a year. And that's the average. It's like $75,000 a year to join this club. And people are there 2 weeks a year. And no one says it's expensive. Because I'm sure when you're there for 2 weeks and you meet other people where that's nothing, meeting one of those people, they're like, hey, do you want to go in on this construction deal? Boom, you just made $1 million and that covers 10 years of memberships. So it just all... networking is only expensive if you don't meet anybody. It's like a gym membership is only expensive if you don't go. I know plenty of people who people don't the only reason they get rid of their personal trainer is they stop showing up. It's really expensive. Imagine getting a personal trainer every day. That's more than $100. Hardly anybody can afford that, but you would go. So, yeah, it's a thought. Let's go with Frank. Frank, can you chat? Hopefully he can give us an improvement.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's going on?
What are you improving in your store or working on?
Well, when you guys were talking about the photos before with, there was a way, and I don't know why I ever switched away from it, but you could take photos on the phone and have them get automatically uploaded to Dropbox.
Yeah.
And then have the Dropbox installed on your computer, which automatically syncs. So as you're taking photos, they're automatically being put on the computer. There is no transferring. It's just already there. So I think that's the best way. And to figure that out, it's really not, it's not that bad. But because AirDrop for me, it works great. But for some reason, it's like uploading the photos in backwards order. And I'm like, this is stupid. So that's really annoying. Every other way. The only way I really found that works great is that way. The other way I've tried was Google Drive, but Google Drive, they don't have that. They do have it on the computer, but they don't have the auto upload to Google Drive. They do have it for Google Photos, but Google Photos, it's meant for personal use, and it doesn't work that great. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. And then
I'm going to back up for a second. I know the best way. Everyone ready? It's a kind of a pain in the ass to set up, but what it is it's a camera on a tripod. Okay. For sure. Camera on tripod, most stable, easiest to maneuver. If it has some kind of arm that can move to the different angles, that's the fastest. Hardwired into your computer, right? So the photo, you get an app that you can click and it takes the photo. Right there, you edit the photo, because we're talking about the highest level of photography here. So you take the photo and edit it right there. You get the exact right color. It's tethered. Take the photo. Then because when you edit the photo, it also changes the format of the photo, which is a pain. So if you edit the photo live, that's totally different. So BHFO, at one point, the largest eBay store, they were doing 100 sets of photos a minute, something like that. It was ridiculous. Like they did 5,000 items in only a few hours with this system. Somebody would put it on a mannequin, roll it in. Somebody on the computer is taking the pictures, editing them. They're perfect. Another person unloads the mannequin, puts it back on. You can get this to where it's only a few seconds per photo. If you edited the photos right there. That's like going down the rabbit hole. Most people in the group do not need it that fast, but
the other thing I was thinking a lot was when there's no way that you can list 250 items a day if you're putting them in bags and you're putting a SKU on it and you're adding that SKU. There's no way. It takes so much longer. And I'm really trying to think, how could I make an organized system without using SKUs or like prepackaging things, I don't think there is a way, but if there is, that would literally, because, you think about it, for me at least, it takes almost as much time for me to put it in a bag, put the SKU on, put it back, figure out storage as to actually just list the item to make the title and price. It's like almost as much time. So if you could, and this is for smaller stores, it's, you could list a lot faster. I don't know, but any thoughts on that, Chris?
Man, after the last couple of weeks of listening to so many people and doing a partnership with Tech and Sports, I feel like he doesn't have anything. No SKU system. He doesn't know his sell-through rate. He doesn't know anything. All he did was just go find stuff and list it. And after 1 year, he was making multiple six figures. That's insane. Imagine just go get stuff, go home, list it, and no SKU, nothing. Just you put it back somewhere and you remember where it was. And it requires a semi-photographic memory probably. But Colby, thoughts?
That's what I was going to say is if you listen to him, it's kind of interesting. It's like, you heard him last night. He's like, yeah, my sports stuff is over here, but it's kind of categorized this way, but I just kind of remember where it's at. And then it's kind of by color. It's like, wait, what's your inventory system? It isn't one. There isn't one. And then he did say, which I do agree with. He was like, if I had to start over again, maybe I would have some type of SKU system or something. And I agree. I mean, I've been doing SKUs since day one. I don't like bins. I don't like putting them in there, but I still think it's the cleanest way to find inventory and definitely the fastest. I can find inventory down here in 10 seconds where it takes him, 3 minutes. He takes a picture, he takes a picture of his SKU that he sold. He takes a picture of the tag, and then he goes and find, like, it takes him a while to actually find a piece of inventory.
Yeah.
I think way slower than the majority of us using some type of SKU system. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now, is doing his process, but then just taking that extra step of saying, okay, I have my SKU, I have my bin, I can pre-pack it, I can label it. It actually doesn't take me that long to do that. I can do that in probably 15, 20 seconds. So I don't know. I looked down that path as well, and I kind of just thought, wow, that's a whole brand new confusing way of doing it. I do like the space saving aspect of it though, which is what I am still looking at, because you can only put so many shirts or shoes in a, or shirts mainly in a box.
Mm-hmm.
But man, you can line up thousands of shirts on a rack, and have really a big saver as far as space. So I like that aspect of it as well. Maybe I can tweak it a little bit and actually have a decent inventory system on a rack,
Well, one more question. And just as an example, I used to ship, when I did books on Amazon, I started out polybagging every single book. Then I started just rubber banding them, and now you just send them in loose. And it's literally, you don't need to do that. Do you need to like double polybag clothing and stuff, or is that really that necessary to like put everything into a bag for extra protection?
Definitely not. It's just, I ship 50 items in under an hour. It takes way more time for him to do it. There's no way he can do, like, my shipping literally is an hour a day. There's no way that's only taking an hour.
So Chris, are you putting like for shoes, for clothing, are you putting them in poly bags or no?
I am.
No, I mean in clear poly bags and then in the shipping bag.
Oh no, not in the shipping bag.
So nothing, just everything goes straight to a poly bag, loose as is. Now, how do you label it though without how does it stick to the clothing?
The stickers on the poly bag.
Oh, oh, okay, so it's ready to ship. So you put it in a shipping bag.
No, not the shipping. The clear poly bag has the SKU on it.
Okay, so you put it in a clear poly bag and then you put it into a shipping poly bag, so it's double bag.
No, I don't. So I finished the item, I put it into a clear poly bag, and then I put the SKU sticker on the bag on the top, so I can find it.
And then you take it out of the bag and put it in the mailer and reuse that bag.
I leave it. I ship it with the clear poly bag. We might not be on the same page. Every item's in the clear. Go ahead, Colby.
He double bag. Yeah, I think with Frank, he double bags it. So like this is Frank. This is a bag. This is a pre-poly, and my label's on top.
Yeah.
So when I go and pull this from, when I pull it from my bin and my number, I put it in a white mailer and then mail it.
Yeah, same.
I mean, maybe it's just stupid of me, but I'm like if you could shave off a step that's not really that required, so I was just curious.
So here's the thing, how I look at it. I want 10 items an hour. Yesterday, my staff did it and they averaged 11 an hour. That's fast enough for me since I'm not doing it. If I was doing everything, then yes, maybe shave all these 1 second, 2 seconds. But it's just somebody else's time for me. And 10 an hour is fast. But if you were doing it solo, maybe get to the point where you're doing 20 an hour. Because I think 20 an hour is like blazing fast. It's so fast. If you listening, go ahead.
I mean, that's pretty much like yesterday. I brought 40 items home with me. I pictured and listed them all in 40 minutes in all completely random categories with no sell similar. And I was like, well, it's pretty fast. But then I came back to my little warehouse and I'm like, crap, now I gotta like bag them and SKU them and add the SKUs. Cause I was just kind of like, let me just get these up. And I, like really figure it out. I'm like, man, it's it took me an extra hour just to bag and skew them all. You know, I'm like, this is stupid. So anyway.
You know, I got you. There's so many little things. And Ed mentioned that we don't fully count all the hours we're reselling, right? You don't know. But one of the common things about resellers that I've noticed over the years is you lose all your hobbies. You've got to be really like tight with your time to have a life. Otherwise, it just bleeds into everything. Mimi, you have a question? Oh, so the skew, the reason why you would put the skew is so you can easily pick. So if it's like bin number 101, bin number 102, bin number 103, then you would be hard to mix up when you pick the item out of it. Although, I mean, you don't have to. You could just put, especially if your items are all different, you know. So you don't have to do it that way. You could just put the bin. Go ahead, Ed.
Just want to make a comment about photography because that's like my favorite thing. Tethered is a good way to go. It's going to take you a little while to set it up.
Yeah.
The good part about tethered is that it prevents you from having to do a lot of retakes, which I hate. Like you take a big batch of photos and you do it for an hour and then you go back and like, oh, I got to fix that one because that didn't work. Tethered fixed that because you can see it now. But kind of an interim step, has anybody tried wireless SD cards?
They discontinued the one that I had.
Me too. Was it
iFi?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a great one.
Yeah, I was really bummed when they canceled it, but I haven't done it yet, but I've heard Toshiba has a good one.
Let me think here. I think both Dropbox and Google Photos are fine for wireless transfer.
Yeah.
It's just that it just sometimes they upload in the wrong order, like what Frank was saying.
Right.
And figuring that out is a pain. And then sometimes they change their software and you have to go back and do it. That's why I think the memory card is so interesting because it doesn't upgrade. When you get a camera and the settings, like Tech and Sports mentioned last night that he doesn't upgrade the browser and stuff like to make sure that everything remains identical. Even the eBay app is different every month. Go ahead.
Well, I'm aware it does have problems, and that's a serious consideration. The thing I like about having tethered or an SD card, wireless SD card, is that you get to see the photo full size soon after you take it.
Right.
And you can tell if like, it's out of focus or I missed a part. And because personally, I hate retakes. Like you go to create your listing and there's 6 photos and there's 2 of your key photos that like, they're just not good. And I don't know, my eyes aren't good enough to look at the back of the little thing on the camera and pick that out. I need to see it big.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Even if your eyes are great, a monitor is totally different. Or
so
an iPad.
It's just kind of like it speeds up my workflow. So maybe I should go spend, I think the Toshiba card, I think is $40. Maybe it's worth it, even if they do it out of order sometimes. Kind of hit and miss.
Also, one more thought for photos. Coach Ultimo mentioned in the chat that eBay just changed the app so it doesn't upload in. It used to be like you pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, and it would upload in that order. Now it doesn't. It uploads in whatever order it wants to. So I don't know why they did that. It's so Suni was saying if you have racks and numbers, you can find an item quickly, but I don't know how he finds items quickly. I'm going to have to ask him. He's texting me right now. Maybe he's listening. So he's saying he found 200 items in 20 minutes. He says it takes, I need to watch him. Tech, I know you're listening right now. I don't know how you can find an item because here's the thing. It's a row of all white. You just remember where you put it. I think that's how he does it. Because how do you differentiate when there's 50 white shirts? He's going to text in a second. But he picks 200 items in 45 minutes. But I think I can ship. I don't know. It's amazing. So I wonder if Suni says, yeah, Suni's probably a large seller, but it always worries me when people tell me what year they started eBay, because I know a lot of people who started eBay the first day and it doesn't really mean anything. Let's see. Jeannie, let me see. Let me look at the. Oh, this is a wireless. This is a crazy little thing. Photo manager. Haven't tried that, Jeannie. Let's see.
I want to try it. I haven't pulled the trigger. I keep waiting for it to go down. It started at 100. So it's slowly going down in price, but I keep waiting to find it in one of my lots.
I love it. Isn't that weird? You could theoretically find everything that you want for yourself reselling.
That's what that's how I got my label maker.
Yeah.
I picked a lot that had 2 of them in it, and ended up paying less for the lot than I did I would have if I paid cash. My computer stand, my monitor stands. Yeah, that's how I pick my lots. Sometimes when I need something.
I wish I joined this group when I mean, the kids that are at home that are like 14 and listening to this call, when they could potentially, like, imagine going to college and you have like amazing furniture and amazing everything because you just learned how to thrift. And so like it's just so crazy because it's almost like the better the stuff, the cheaper it is, because people with more money care less about what happens to their stuff. Suni is saying he has the brand name and the size. I'm gonna have to watch Tech film himself picking because I just don't get it. I know he's listening and he does it. It's just amazing how he's able to do that. But everyone, have an awesome day. I want to keep this call short. Everyone, focus on what you can do with what you have, and then improve every day. And after a year, you'll be killing it.